This lunatic, he was up. Actually, I had the television way down, and I said to our great First Lady, listen, did I just hear I was being impeached again? We're getting good at this, though. No, they've gone totally crazy. These people, and you know what? They've totally lost their confidence, too. They can't even tell a lunatic like this dumb guy that said it. And then you have the other one that's always with the cane. He's always impeaching. He raises his cane. He always impeaches. But they have no control over those people. They have no control, and the reason...
What the fuck for? They're allowed to do this. You don't need control over them. He's talking about Al Green and then the Michigan guy. I'll show you. And I would like to say, fucking hell, let's see. Let's see. Let's see. The challenge there. Yeah, one of the people that David Hogg is actually trying to primary is the guy who just put in the impeachment stuff. Hold on, Michigan. You go on. Is a Indian, yeah, Michigan congressperson. What's his name? Yeah, Shri Thanandar. This guy. He's a congressman from Michigan. This guy right here. He introduced these articles. Introduced 7 articles of impeachment against Trump Monday, claiming the president is unfit to serve office. In a video shared on social media, Thanandar said, laid out the 7 articles and said he's doing real damage to our democracy. And let's see, and then yeah, and he's one of the first people that David Hogg wants to go after. Look, let me be abundantly clear. Chat room, let's just start with this. Fuck off with all this trying to turn blue districts bluer. I don't give a shit about the old guard or people you don't think are voting with you. Every Democrat is working their ass off and voting lockstep right now. Shut the fuck up. If you can't turn a red district purple, sit the fuck down. What are you even doing? You can tell it's a shit plan because Cenk Uygur's behind it. Like, he supports it. I agree David Hogg is a good guy, but a good guy with a terrible fucking plan. No. We have the fucking, we don't have majorities in the House or the Senate, and we don't have the presidency. It's terrible. It's a dumb idea. It's wrong. It's shit. It's garbage. It's a waste of fucking time. And especially because of the depth of David Hogg's experience going through the Parkland shooting and being a great voice for that, he could go to purple districts that maybe leaned red and bring them back blue. Period. But honest to God, like, we got enough problems without somebody trying to unseat a Democrat that's barely hanging on anyways. Right, like Chuck Schumer. Again, everybody told you about the fucking Chuck Schumer thing. If he hadn't got that CR through, Trump would have eliminated the Department of Education with a stroke of a pen because it would not have officially been funded by an act of Congress. They would have to re-vote on it to recreate it while the Republicans have the House and the Senate. Get the fuck out of here. I think he's great. I think he's got a great future if he really tries. But the idea that he's buying into this TYT dick shit nonsense garbage flack shows at like misguided at best, subterfuge at worst. Yes, Schumer's fine. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Until you can unseat Thune, I don't want to hear shit about who's running tell you what, when Democrats take the fucking Senate because voters show up and give it to them, then you can start having a big contest about how Schumer should take a fucking seat. But the very activity we're talking about, this going after Democrats and backbiting and all this bullshit, is a good reason why we don't have the House or the Senate. Period. End of story. Other than that, I have no opinion. But good fucking God. Stewart, Jon Stewart quit working at The Daily Show during the first Trump run, when comedy about that guy would have been very cutting and very direct. And I can't say anything other than I think he did it on purpose. And he handed the show over to a host that he knew that anybody who even leaned maggot in the incel I guess the borderline millennial crowd who would be starting to vote wouldn't listen to Trevor Noah. They would have listened to him. They would have listened to John maybe, but they wouldn't listen to Trevor Noah. He undermined the show on purpose. And then when did he come back? Did he come back 2 years into the Biden administration to focus on a bunch of different aspects of it and try to push out or, manage the fact that we had a majority? No. He showed up during the election year and right out of the gate shit on Biden's age and basically did a bunch of like half-assed like Trump jokes that were as pedestrian as fucking anything you would see on late night. Like he went from The Daily Show being essentially, this is not about Trevor Noah. I'm not shitting on Trevor Noah. I'm talking about the audience for that show and the specific choice of who to put in there actually had an impact. Yeah. He came back in the election year. Biden's a Zionist. Get the fuck out of here. Define Zionist. Right. Then Biden says he's a Zionist. You know why? Because he believes Israel has the right to exist. Jesus fucking Christ. So John comes in, shits on Biden, does these pedestrian kind of Jimmy Fallon jokes about Trump. Nothing of consequence. All of it just kind of like, isn't it cute? Right? And fuck him. Seriously. I met John when I was doing Talk Soup. He had just gotten The Daily Show. And I was like, and we were at this like meeting of people like almost like a after party at the upfronts, right? When they introduce you to people. And I was like, how's the Daily Show gig? And he's like, it's great. I mean, I do like probably 8 minutes of work a day. They put a monologue up there a little bit. And then I sit back with my feet on the desk while they play segments shooting other people, shot by other people. And, it's pretty cush, actually. Man it on him. Get the fuck out of here. Seriously. Yeah, he was a nader. He fucking nadered it. And the whole, again, Fallon isn't funny. Again, matter of opinion. That's the thing about comedy. I'm telling you, you're allowed to like whoever makes you laugh. Here's the thing, though. Fallon's stuff is pedestrian for a reason, because the Tonight Show, all right, Zionists are pro-genocide. No, they're not. You're a silly person. Please shoo. I mean, seriously, dude, are you just being fed through a Russian version of Chat GPT, little phrases you think will land randomly? Anyways, point being is that there are, I would argue, Seth Meyers goes after Trump hard. So does Colbert. John does a half-assed Fallon job about it. And he's getting angry now, who could have guessed? Jesus Christ, man. Who could have guessed? Holy shit. Some Zionists are... Get out of here. Stop it. Yeah. Okay. Let's just do this. Fuck it. We don't have to deal with Trump at all. He's going to say the same shit. Let's talk about a couple of things. If you're against settlements in the West Bank and you think that occupation of Gaza is a bad thing, then explain to me, technically speaking, how formerly Transjordan, which is Judea and Samaria, according to Israel, but was Transjordan during the reclamation where Jordan and Egypt declared war on Israel. They claimed Gaza. The Egyptians claimed Gaza and filled it with Egyptian, and the Jordanians filled it in. All the people there are Jordanian. How is that not an illegal settlement into Israel by the same terms you're using? I am against genocide as well. But you actually have to, that word has to mean something. You know what I mean? That word has to mean something. And it doesn't to you. I'm telling you it doesn't. Yeah. Yeah, there's a genocide Joer in the chat, I think. Which is, again, somebody who helped Trump get elected. That shit helped Trump get elected. And now look at what he's doing to Gaza. Look what Netanyahu, like the permission he's giving to Netanyahu. Transjordan, that's progressive, right? Does anybody even know that? Does anybody even know that Gaza was Egyptian-controlled territory? They also control a border of it, which is less porous than the border into Israel was before October 7th. Do you know that at least? You don't have to agree with me on shit, but do you at least know that? Do you know that detail? Okay, same thing about, do you know that the West Bank was Transjordan? Do you know do you at least know that piece of history? That those are Jordanians? And that the Palestinian refugees that have moved out of what was formerly Transjordan into Jordan have fewer rights than the ones in Israel? Do you know that at least? At least build what you're saying. We probably agree that Netanyahu's a fucking war criminal, right? I would hope that fuck that guy. And that I, as a Democrat for years, was supportive of a two-state solution that was respectful of the people's lives and all that kind of stuff. I hope we agree on that. A lot of people will say they do, but ultimately they ended up voting Trump in, which is effectively the political version of saying, I'm tired of forever wars, which means just get rid of the Palestinians. I'm tired of their shit, which is exactly what those people believe. I don't want to hear anything about like, well, we felt like, maybe the genocide, and it was genocide, and what they were doing in the response, and he was slow to, but fuck off. You handed it over on purpose to Trump because you wanted them wiped out. You were tired of their shit. Anybody who uses the forever war phrase, what they mean is, it's time to let the Palestinians get fucked. That's what they meant. They didn't accidentally let Trump in. They didn't, go against Biden because he was impure. They're for it. They're fucking for it. And the fact that Trump is in Michigan is incredibly telling, because who delivered Michigan to Donald Trump? Who? Who delivered it to him? Arabs for Trump, who changed their name after his announcement that he was like, we got to just dump these fuckers. Trump, Gaza, right? After that, they changed their name to Arabs for Peace. Shut the fuck up. At this point, I'm not willing to believe that anybody's that stupid. It has to be important to them. It has to be valuable to them. It has to be on purpose. Uncommitted was not uncommitted about anything. They were supporting the purge of Gaza. They just got to do it under the veil of artificial peace. Same goes for Cenk and Anna and TYT and Jimmy Dore. Fuck them. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't buy that this was an accident and they're like pearl clutching right now. I had no idea he would do this. He told you he would. Sorry, no, I say forever wars, but I want Palestinians free and have their own land, bare minimum, stop giving U.S. weapons and funding to the freaking IDF. Won't happen. The minute they do, Lebanon, Egypt, Jordan, the Iranian Republican Guard through multiple sources will destroy Israel in an afternoon. Which, if that's what you want, just say so. But don't dance around it. I refuse to believe that a group that large is that naive about what Trump would do to the fucking Gazans and the people in the West Bank. And I am very unforgiving about the people who are pearl clutching right now or pretending they actually fucking gave a shit. They didn't. We all saw it. We all saw him say it. It's like the same thing with the tariff thing. Like, I didn't know he was going to do this. Yes, you fucking did. We told you so. That's a fucking point. And so I don't want the same fucking talking points to come up again and again as if you're going to, like you didn't already flood the engine. We're not buying it anymore. You don't get to throw around those fucking half-assed platitudes and criticisms that you could slap on a goddamn bumper sticker about what Israel might have done or would have done under Biden or fucking Harris when you know full well that, again, the uncommitted, the Arabs for Trump, all that crowd, all the same people. And all of them, all the people who were at the DNC with their fucking genocide Joe signs never fucking set foot anywhere near Mar-a-Lago when Netanyahu was there. None of you motherfuckers. So no. And if you're going to say Israel doesn't have the right to exist, the only democracy in the fucking Middle East, a place where there are Palestinians and Arabs on the fucking judiciary and who can fucking vote and stuff, if you want to say that needs to be wiped out, then what you're effectively saying is Lebanon for everybody. You're saying or Syria for everybody. Whatever's happened in Syria, you want that throughout the whole region because that will end with the most bloodshed you've ever seen in your lifetime. And then maybe when they've killed enough of their own, power interests can roll in and wipe everybody, the rest of them out. Boston Bride calls it a genocide. Why are you tracking us? I'm not. I'm attacking the word, and I disagree. I love Boston Bryant. He's a decent and caring human being. I disagree with the word. You know why? You know why? Okay, let's start with a couple other points. Because while we're on this topic, I feel like we just got to hit this hard and clear the fucking ground. I think we can all agree, Gaza, for example, we all agree with the details, and I'm going to go slow with this because I want to check the fucking temperature in this situation. Because I want this to settle in. I think we all agree that Gaza is arguably and reportedly the most one of the most population dense places on Earth. Yes? 2.4 million people or something in an area, I don't know, the third the size of Manhattan, something like that, right? Yes, we agree that it is the most population dense area. Can anyone protest in Mar-a-Lago? Yes, there's a fucking public street right outside. Right outside the gate, there's a public street. Yes, you can absolutely protest. Okay, we agree with that point. Most densely populated, millions of people. Do we agree? With the material fact, I'm just checking. I just want to know that everybody's on board with the details. Okay. Most, as far as population, one of the most dense places on Earth. Okay. Secondly, population since, 2000 of Gaza has gone up. Yes, we agree. Even with the death toll from the war, population has gone up significantly. Do you at least acknowledge that? Do we acknowledge that that's a reality? That the population of Gaza increased over the last 30 years? Just waiting to check up for the second. Okay, detail 1, we agree. Detail 2, we agree that the population has gone up. Do we also agree that Jews, all Jews, left the area in 2005? And the Israelis dug up the graves of Jews and even moved dead bodies of Jews out of Gaza in 2005. There are no Jews living in Gaza and have not since 2005. Do we agree with that? Detail number 3. Do you know that? Are we aware of that? That the idea of a Palestinian state one of the details of it that grew out of the two-state solution was that a Palestinian state would be devoid of Jews. No Jews allowed in the Palestinian state. That's a fact. 2005, they dug all the dead bodies up, moved all the graves out, took all the Jews, everybody left. 2005, since 2005, no Jews allowed. We're okay. A lot of people weren't aware of that. Feel free to look that up, right? Everybody, they were all moved out. Okay. So the Palestinian state that was being argued for in the two-state solution since 2005 means that a Palestinian state is devoid of Jews. The definition of what Gaza and the West Bank as Palestinian states would mean, one of their primary definitions would be that there would be no Jews in those areas. Okay, that is a defining characteristic of since 2005. No Jews allowed. Now, Arabs still allowed to vote and live in Israel proper. Okay, Arabs are still allowed. Yeah, 250K Ohm says ethnic cleansing. Much better term for what Netanyahu and his crowd are trying to do with Trump's help. They have a hard time doing genocide. I'm getting to the point. Okay, so I guess a Jew would not feel safe in, no Jews in Manhattan. Yeah, right. Way to play along, Treva. Okay. Palestine is a media creator. That's another thing too. Unturned, what am I not answering you about? All I keep seeing is you saying you're not answering. Back and forth. Okay, I'm trying to let me define some things and then we'll go into the question part of it. Okay? Because I, like many people, and I think many people in the chat, again, were for and are for, if it's at all possible, which is very doubtful now, a two-state solution, right? Okay? No such thing as Jews got wiped out. Yes, they did. The Jews, they didn't get wiped out. They left. They were not allowed to stay. All Jews left Gaza. Yes. We understand this. And the idea is that in the West Bank, it would be the same thing, okay? Both the rules of what the Palestinians wanted, no Jews in Gaza, no Jews in the West Bank at all. Are we clear? That is part of the two-state solution that they were going for. Now, that's not what I thought of when I would think of a two-state solution. I would think that the two-state solution was Israel exists, Israel has its own governmental system, people, Arabs and Jews can live side by side in there and they can vote and that kind of stuff. But essentially it's a Jewish state for the people because Israelis and is the tribe of Judea and all that stuff. But that the West Bank and Gaza would be primarily ruled by people identifying as Palestinian, whether they were Egyptian Arabs or Jordanian Arabs who lived there, but would identify as Palestinians. They would have their own governmental system that would oversee the entire thing. But Jews would be allowed if they lived there, just like they would be allowed technically to live in any other country. That's not the case. The British didn't invent Israel. The British invented the Palestinian mandate. So they invented Palestine. They're the ones who called it that because they wanted it to be related to the Romans called it that to relate it to the Philistines. The British made the mandate for Israel after that, getting rid of the Roman mandate. That's it. It's like, and they're holding on to old borders that were there. Not the point though, but I think we're back to agreement. So we agree that Gaza, most highly dense area in the world, one of the top 3 probably. Okay? The population has gone up. Since 2005, no Jews in Gaza. We'll talk about the we'll talk about the West Bank in a second. Okay? We understand those details, okay? All are true. Now, here's the thing, and this is the reason why I believe ethnic cleansing is closer to what you're seeing than genocide, and there's a meaningful difference between the two. Because one is on the edge of legal, that would be ethnic cleansing. The other is completely illegal in terms of the international community and would be. Okay. how many dead, and this is, I'm going to ask the number that you guys know, the absolute largest number of dead in Gaza have you heard? What's the number? Put it in the chat right now. Give me the number, the most recent number that you've heard as far as dead in Gaza. Remember, most population dense area on Earth. Give me the, and it takes a second for the chat. Last you heard was 52,000. Okay. Anybody? I like 45,000. That's pretty close. 30K. Yeah, they revised down. The Hamas's Gaza Health Ministry revised it down, but approximately 47,000 was the number. It's not 160, PJ Mooney, but whatever. So the number from Gaza Health Ministry. Now, let's see if I can look it up. Let's see what the current one is. Death toll Gaza. As of April 2025, 52,000 people, 50,810 Palestinians, and 1,706 Israelis have been reportedly killed in the Gaza war. So 50,810 is the number that they revised down from whatever the 56 or the 52 number. So that's the current number as of April 8. Okay. How many bombs has Israel dropped? 2,000-pound bombs or larger. How many bombs? How many like missiles and bombs have hit Gaza? New question. So put a little, yeah. Jen, I think I am walking carefully. I think I'm being very careful about this. Do I not? Chat room, do you feel like I'm being careful about this as far as these details? Because I want us to all start from the same position. How many? No, not civilians, Norm. People killed. Yeah, okay. How many bombs? Let's see, lots, too many, okay. 1,800, 1,500, 35,000, 20,000. 110,000. $500. All right, 50. I think you're trying to do 50,000. You're close. 50,000, about 50,000, which means Israeli forces have dropped a single 2,000-pound bomb for every dead person in the entire country. Of all, like, there's a 1-to-1. And by the way, no distinction between civilians and fighters. Okay, I'm being really clear about this. I want us to at least be on the same point. You don't have to agree with me about the other stuff, but we got to start somewhere. 50,000 bombs dropped. 2,000 pounders to, large artillery shells. Okay? None of this Gaza bombing was former Biden's fault? No. Listen to me. Listen to what I'm saying. 2.4 million people in an area that the size of Gaza. 50,000 bombs dropped. 50,000 dead. And that doesn't account bullets, right? That doesn't account any other kind of fire. Now explain to me how you indiscriminately bomb an area with 2.4 million people packed in like sardines. You drop 50,000 2,000-pound bombs or in that range and only get 52,000 dead, and I mean only, right? You have a kill rate of 52,000 when you're bombing it, if you're bombing indiscriminately and your goal is genocide. That's the question I have for you. That's the issue. If you're going to call it genocide, it's the worst genocide attempt ever. Boston Ryan says they leveled the Gaza Strip. Absolutely. Buildings aren't human beings. Tunnels are built under everything. The Hamas turned over the last 15 years. They turned a a civilian area into a military base by tunneling under everything, schools, hospitals, everywhere, and hid behind people. They did it for a decade and a half and built that. So, but the point is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what our feelings about it. I'm telling you, this is the material reality. No, 52,000 civilians is not okay. That's not the point. And by the way, there's no assertion that they were all civilians. I'm just saying, if the goal is indiscriminate bombing and genocide, you don't kill 52,000 people with 50,000 bombs. How about the dead under the building that are not counted? Do you think Hamas is undercounting the dead? Honestly, do you think Hamas is hiding an expanded number of dead? Do you think they would withhold those numbers? Okay. Now, with those details, I think you and I would agree that a lot of damage has been done to the infrastructure of the buildings in Gaza. It's basically been devastated. 52,000 dead, 50,000 bombs dropped. And the idea that you would need to drop bigger bombs, 2,000 pounds bombs from this point on, is absurd. And so the Biden administration withholding those bombs, saying, hey, you've done all this damage. If you're going to go in and get the rest of these guys, don't kill a bunch of civilians. Go in there in person. Right? Go in and do it yourself. You know, short range stuff, I don't know, Laws rockets, shoulder fired missiles, shit like that. But you don't need to drop any more 2,000 fucking pound bombs. That was the Biden and Harris opinion. We can't control them. We can't, you know, most of the funding we give them goes to the shield, not to, you know, straight up arms, which they purchase from a bunch of, they make their own rifles, they make their own rockets. But the idea was the Biden administration was like, look, if you're going to do this, you don't have to bomb them with 2,000 pound bombs. That would be indiscriminate and stupid. And what did uncommitted do? What did the fucking Arabs for Trump do? They went, that's too little. We want to hand it over to Trump because he just wants peace. And my point is, I don't know anybody who would buy that shit. Anybody. And is Brian here? I would love to talk to him about it because I trust and love him, and I would gladly have a conversation about this. Andrea, can you send him the link for the stream if he wants to jump in? Because the goal can't be, we can't talk about the details because it's considered, you know, it flips to one side or another. The goal has to be, what's the best good we can do in a situation? What are the most lives we can save? And the people who are just saying, like, and again, sorry, is not Benjamin Netanyahu to blame? Israeli government crime, not the USA. I agree. But again, this is not about them. We don't vote for Netanyahu. We don't have the ability to vote for him or get rid of him. You and I don't. We do have the right to choose our own president, and how our president interacts with him has an impact on who dies and who doesn't. Our relationship with Israel and the kind of stuff we would give them or the kind of limitations we would put on them are meaningful. And so who we vote as president means something. And the American people, largely a bunch of people in Michigan and Minneapolis, you know, in the Minnesota general area, but Minneapolis and St. Paul and that idea, basically did all this genocide Joe bullshit all last year, never fucking stood outside of Mar-a-Lago, never stood out, you know, did anything to push back, didn't fucking stand in front of the Senate office buildings where Republicans were, didn't fucking surround the minority leader's house when we had the House. Didn't do any of that shit. That's my problem. And if I am talking about a measured response to the best of our ability in a situation that is not 100% under our control, but we have a responsibility to choose the best circumstance we possibly can. And I see a bunch of people dicking around with this Genocide Joe nonsense and this Arabs for Trump silliness and uncommitted and stuff. And what the end result is a fucking ethnic cleansing of the Gazans full force by this administration, and a fucking brag that he and Jared Kushner are going to build fucking condos on the land. I have a choice in that situation. I have a choice. I can be stupid myself by pretending that maybe they were just stupid, or I can use what logical capabilities I have and go, maybe these motherfuckers wanted this all along. Because it makes no fucking sense to me. This is so on the goddamn nose. Because look at the result. Look at what's actually happening. He's driving, apparently. Maybe he'll be home and we can grab him in here. But I love Brian. We'll talk about this more. But and by the way, I welcome anybody. Feel free to @ me if you think that this is about being pro-genocide on my part, or me, like people calling me a fucking Jew, blah, 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 when I'm not even Jewish, on here, or formerly what's known as Shitter, even though I'm not on there anymore, or Blue Sky or anything, because I'm talking sense about this stuff. And it can throw all the epithets my way. But one of the reasons I was throwing down against the uncommitted assholes and bless his heart, David Hogg's bullshit about primarying Democrats in this circumstance with these people in charge, are you out of your fucking mind? You're gonna lesser of two evil this shit? Seriously. The world needs more aloha. I agree, Vivi. But I get livid when I fucking see these, like, couch-bound slacktivist online fuckwads who will again, show up outside the DNC with a sign when people are already on the team and doing their best. And never show up in front of fucking Mar-a-Lago when Netanyahu is inside and they're both making plans about how to carve this shit up. It's gross. And look what's going to happen to the Palestinians now. Other than that, I have no opinion. Call it an ethnic cleansing because that's what it is. But recognize that if, and again, most of the people in my chat were all in for Harris and we voted for her or whatever, but if you weren't, or you played footsie with this bullshit, I'm telling you, it's your responsibility what they're doing over there now, because you had to have known Trump would let Netanyahu off of any leash, however tacit we had on him. You had to know. You had to fucking know. I don't buy it. Yes, and where are they now? Exactly. Where are these fucking campouts? Where is all this shit? And what about trying to set up for Friday with Brian. How about coming on Brian's show tomorrow after your show? I love that idea. Yeah. This is what's like, because, yeah, he said it out loud. Exactly. If you think, let me tell you this. If you think that Israel has a right to exist as a democracy in the Middle East, then you're technically a Zionist. in the same way that Joe Biden defines himself as a Zionist. If you don't, then you think Israel should be wiped out, shouldn't exist. And I personally think that's gross. But if that's what you're saying, fucking say it. This is why jargon kills. This is why the throw around of genocide undermines the depth of that word. And I would also point out that most of the people that that allegedly cared about all this don't give a rat fuck about Sudan. I brought it up several times. I've lamented the lack of coverage. You guys have seen me talk about it. It is the worst. Hold on. It is the worst fucking. The death toll in Sudan has outpaced Gaza threefold. Yeah, I can't even show you the footage of what I was pulling up. Just a bunch of people being marched into a square. Sudan's rapid support forces marched 31 people into a square, sat them down, and machine gunned them yesterday. And it doesn't pop in the news because there's no Jews involved and it's all black people. That's my problem. That's my issue. There's no UNRWA for the Sudanese. And Trump is not going to send in peacekeepers or support forces around the edge of that place at all. Biden would. Harris would have. It's heartbreaking. Totally out of my hands. I see it all the time. It's an impotent feeling of rage every time I see it. And there will be, mark my words, there will be zero help in settling this, ending it, or securing area for refugees, any of that, from the Trump administration. Oh, and by the way, the Arabs for Trump, everybody here is Muslim, both sides. But they're black, so fuck them, I guess. There's no campouts on Columbia. There's no, we need to do something to help in this situation. Nothing. Fucking nothing. Death tolls 3 times Gaza. Alone. In a year, by the way. And it's only ratcheting up. Sudan has been split by this. 2 generals who got into a fucking pissing contest that sounds an awful lot like the ego trip between fucking Hegseth and his folks. Basically got into an ego match about who was going to run shit. And this broke out. Now South Sudan's on the edge of civil war. I remember when we used to give a shit about fucking Rwanda and Darfur and things like that. But the forever war crowd won and created an isolationist environment where the right wing was able to punch in and say, we don't need to be a part of the UN anymore. UN peacekeepers are fucking more trouble than they're worth. Jimmy Dore telling everybody that America is the terrorists of the world. So if we go in there, more people will just die, which is not what will happen. Yes, that's all behind it. MJ Carroll, McCall, that's, yeah. 2 generals in a pissing contest over who would rule the country are basically cooing each other, and it's split between the Sudanese army and the Rapid Strike Force, which they call now the Rapid Support Force. Was USAID helping? Yes, helping the refugees that have spilled out into Darfur and other areas. This matters. And under Donald Trump, none of it charts. And like I said, maybe if he hadn't been around the first time and you're like, well, we'll give it a try. We'll throw like George W. Bush. It's a guy you can have a beer with. It's about time. Maybe we should have the father of one of our president's son elected like this fucking place is an insurance firm in the Midwest. What could be the worst? He seems like a laid back kind of a guy. 2 wars and $10 trillion fucking dollars later. And what was the result of the fucking Bush guy you could have a beer with attitude? What did that get you? You lost probably the greatest environmental president you would have ever had under Al Gore, a guy who certainly would not have responded to 9/11 if it even happened. If it even happened. Wouldn't have responded with invading fucking Iraq. But no, yeah, we need a guy who can have a fucking beer with. 2 fucking rounds of that motherfucker. And we did it again. Same thing. Maybe we need an outsider. Maybe we need somebody who doesn't really give a fuck to just come in here and not give a fuck. That's what I like about him. He talks just like us. He doesn't give a fuck. Sorry, I appreciate Biden and Obama and even Clinton and certainly Carter for giving a fuck. And apparently, there are a bunch of voters who just decided it's time to swipe right. I'm bored. I'm tired of Gaza, whatever. Let them do what they're going to do. I'll pretend that I'm voting for peace, but in reality, I'm tired of hearing it. That's my problem with this. So this is going on. Donald Trump is taking Netanyahu completely off the fucking leash. The Republicans are going to attempt to pass a bill that cuts Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. They very well may have the votes to get it through the House. Maybe not the Senate, but only because of that narrow margin, right? And what is fucking David Hogg and TYT doing? They're attacking Democrats who have managed to get elected in spite of this bullshit instead of because of it. So at one point, I'm just going to say it. I cannot believe anyone that previously would have voted for Obama or previously would have voted for Biden or, is a legit Democrat is so fucking stupid that they would actually believe Donald Trump's sales pitch and vote for him. I'm sorry. I refuse to insult those people by calling them stupid. I have to believe they're evil. I have to believe they wanted this because there is no other explanation. Nobody could have listened to what he fucking said and come away with anything other than, screw him as the U.S. policy, both towards, refugees, the poor. I don't buy it. But I really believed in No, you didn't. No, you fucking didn't. If you were in a tent on the fucking campus of Columbia leading some sort of thing. I'm sorry. I don't buy it. If you're smart enough to go to Columbia, you're smart enough to work out that Biden is better for the Gazans no matter what you think. Harris would have been better for the Gazans no matter what you think versus Trump, period. And the lives saved is not a marginal small amount. It's not like, well, 5%, maybe it's worth it to try and, but no. I don't buy it. You can't be that dumb. You had to have meant it. You were either paid for by Trump and his people to stir up trouble, or you're a useful idiot, or you actually are like Sunni versus Shia, Shia versus Sunni, Alawite. I'm out anyways. I'm a non-religious Arab Muslim or something, and I just want the real estate to be worth something again. I don't know what the reasoning is, but it ain't that you cared. Because there is no fucking way that you looked at this guy and thought, he'll be more compassionate. And on top of that, can I add, you didn't actually think he was going to end the fucking Russia-Ukraine war with a phone call, did you? You couldn't have. It's fucking absurd. Some of the folks around him are like, not our business, stand on the side. Well, if you have the ability to help in a circumstance where there's an emergency going on, an aggressor against a victim, you are on the side of the aggressor if you don't step in. If you could do it, especially without killing yourself, you have a moral responsibility to do so. There aren't any U.S. troops there. There aren't any Americans in harm's way, except the reporters like our good friend Philip Bittner there, that are putting themselves in harm's way to report on it. You can help just through funding, and you don't. That's a moral decision. You're going to sit back and listen to him talk about waste, fraud, and abuse, and when he does, it all has to do with women and minorities. Anything that helps women and minorities, gay people, trans people, is fucking waste, fraud, and abuse. You can listen to that all last year, and his fucking little thing about trans weightlifters. You can listen to that and go, he'll be, I just feel like Genocide Joe. I don't like how they're, okay. I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. I have too much respect for you to assume that you are that mentally depleted. It's a choice. And by the way, unlike when I believe evil is an active choice. I don't think it's accidental. I don't think you can blame it on your childhood. If you're over fucking 30 years old, your childhood is not to blame for anything you fucking do. I would argue a little bit about your 20s. Depends on when your brain is done cooking. Say 25, right? Anything before 25, maybe you can blame some of your childhood. But if you're over 30, I don't give a fuck how you were treated as a child. Go find some new people to hang out with. Reset. This idea that children are cooked at 6 and you're fucked if you're a ratty kid or you're a great kid, you're just going to automatically stay that fucking way. Get out of here. Evil's a choice. So, David Hogg, get your shit together. I like you, dude. I want you to succeed in the gun stuff that you've been trying to do desperately. I think we all do. Wrong way to go. Wrong way to go. Do an about face and use everything you have to turn a fucking red district purple and a purple district blue. That's the only thing that fucking matters right now. It's the only thing that matters. There are no bad Democrats right now. None of them even fucking chart compared to the cuts the House are making to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. The elimination of the Department of Education and funding for SNAP and Head Start and fucking veterans benefits that Trump and his crowd are doing. It doesn't chart. It's nowhere, even if they're slow walking or you don't like their tactic or they're not loud enough. it still doesn't go anywhere near charting the evil that we are dealing with on the other side. Not even fucking close. So if you even bring it up, I'm going to tell you to fuck off. Go pound sand. You're a child. And if you're not a child, you're evil. You're engaged in evil behavior. It's wrong. It's bad. It will negatively impact the weakest and the most vulnerable around us, including the Gazans, including the poor in the United States, including kids who need support, and through Head Start, SNAP, food stamps, all that shit. That's who gets hurt. And these fucking couch-bound slacktivist assholes who sit there fucking Starbucksing their way through. God damn. Yes, unions too. I don't want to fucking hear it. It's weak. It's wrong. It's morally reprehensible. It's pathetic. It's self-involved. It's egomaniacal. And there's a dark, arrogance to it. And other than that, I have no opinion. I would like to also remind everyone that I say what I say. This is my face. That's my name. This is my show. And I tell you what I think. Okay? I'm not doing this through a burner account. I'm not hiding behind a nickname. I never will. Because of our Patreon supporters and the people that super chat support the show and actually turn this thing into a thing, I can say this stuff outwardly. And here's the thing. If you disagree with me about these things and you go, no, it is good, it can be better, then I don't want to hear you do anything but push for the best possible outcome in every one of these circumstances. If you know you're going to lose in one of these primary situations and your fallback position is to defend the one Democrat in that seat, you better do it with everything you got. But if you go in there like Cenk did, roll into that, that area in the North Valley in LA, run against a woman, a Democratic woman who had a chance to take a seat controlled by a Republican, literally would have been a female Democrat in that fucking state, okay? In that House seat. And Cenk spent his entire time trying to get her to lose. Never attacked the Republican that they were running against. Now I could think, man, that is just somebody who's wound up and just full bore, just drinking their own Kool-Aid or something. Or I could go, no, that's what he wanted to do the whole time. That the purpose of TYT, the whole show is based on keeping Democrats from voting. Muting the Democratic turnout so that this can happen, so that can happen. And whether, I don't give a shit if it's this, he's from the Susan Sarandon camp of let it burn down, and what will be built in its ashes is something beautiful and utopian, as if that ever fucking happens. Whether it's that kind of diluted or it's just subversive right-wing bullshit disguised, wolf in sheep's clothing, doesn't matter to me. The effect is still the same. So, yeah. And again, like I said, if you think I'm wrong, please, and you think I'm wrong because you believe in the causes that you think I'm somehow attacking instead of actually supporting for real, which is what I believe I'm doing. If you think I'm wrong about this, then bust your ass to get the best outcome in any of these situations. Do it. But if the fallback is just to get mad at me because I don't agree with your bumper stickers, and your biggest concern is that everybody used the same jargon, everybody used the same slang. Doesn't matter what you're doing, doesn't matter what you care about, what your activities actually lead to. Doesn't matter as long as the decal on your lighter is it looks like it's on my side. I don't give a fuck what wick you light. So there you go. I'm all right. I obviously get very wound up because this matters. This actually fucking matters. And good luck watching all your formerly left-wing hosts like Jimmy and the folks over at TYT and the rest of them suddenly, magically, oddly Dave Rubin themselves into the right. Right? They just, how'd that happen? Maybe you're right. Maybe they had this lightning bolt moment. Maybe they were black pilled or red pilled or whatever the fuck they call it. Maybe. And maybe they were always that way, and there's just more butter on that side of the bread now. They bled you guys dry, and then they can move on. Maybe that's what it is. Also, I would like to point out a couple of the people who are decrying what I'm saying the most are the people who are saying I should do fewer clips and just do my just speak out. Well, guess what? Here I am. There is I believe, a moral obligation every day to get up and put one foot in front of the other and try to make the world a better place. And I try to do this by providing you guys with information and doing it in a humorous way. That's the purpose of this show. This is what I'm doing. But I'm not going to lie to you or just use fucking jargon to punch my way to the front of the line with you. Oh, he says he used the right word. That'll get him. Yeah, that's fine. He says the jargon version of it. I would rather give you the full version, the explanation version of it. That's why my show is long form. That's why I do the episodes the way I do. This is why I've covered the fucking rallies the way I have. And I'm overt about it. I'm here to tell you. And again, if any of this bothers you, then feel free to go someplace else and find somebody who says the jargon you want to hear. But what I'm going to warn you before you leave on your way out, that you're going to be baited by jargon because you have announced to the world your allegiance with the words over the ideas. That using the word genocide in this example was so important to you that you created the largest ethnic cleansing that Gaza and the West Bank have ever seen or ever will see. Because the word meant more to you than the ideas. That the facts scared you off, and you didn't feel like if I know all these things, I still can't fight for the things I believe in. Have you ever seen me have a problem doing that? We went through this with the fucking Kyle what's-his-ass, the shooter in Wisconsin, where everybody was going murder. I was like, okay, first of all, he's underage, so we're talking about a different thing. Secondly, clear self-defense. That you can look at that and see that as stupid and wrong and all the other things, why he was there, why he had a rifle instead of a handgun for self-protection, all these other things. You could have all the discussions about that and recognize the details that were real versus the opinions that people had, and you could align them or conflict with them totally fine without ever losing sight of, we have too many guns in this country, we don't need fucking giant, like 30-round magazines, bump stock should be illegal. We could still agree on that. We don't, you see what I mean? Issue by issue, your ethics shouldn't flow with the wind. My ethnics. I'm still Scottish. I don't know what to do about it. Your ethics shouldn't sway in the wind based on the details of this, because that's where people play like language gotcha. Marlene, were you in the booth with Cenk? In the voting booth? Because I would remind you, Cenk may have said he voted for her. I know I did. You know I did. Right. So, drone delivery on those tacos. So, now, where were we? Oh, yeah, we were in Michigan with this dipshit. I have to say, you know what? I'm going to call the show early today, because I want you guys to consider what we've talked about today. And I want you to consider who you think I am and your opinions of me. And I want you to read it in context with everything you've seen me do. And if you think I'm going to change like some others have, I want you to go through that. Doesn't mean I will. Doesn't mean, that it's a concern. I want you to respond to that. I want you to consider that. Okay? Right? Because I think you can see from the way I'm talking about this that I operate with all the facts available to me at all times. Right? And when you don't, when you get rid of some facts because they're uncomfortable, what you do is you leave a door open for people on the right to call you a liar. My ethics are not circumstance dependent. Does that make sense? There doesn't have to be a war going on for me to prefer peace. Okay? If there isn't one or there is one going on, that doesn't change. The details of how to get there, whether it's even possible, that's the conversation that we have to have, because we're trying to solve a problem directly in that circumstance. But my ethics about it don't change. But a bunch of other people, I feel like if it's not on their plate, they don't really care. Or they gin up their own upset about it, like Bill O'Reilly or somebody like that. That if they're not thinking about it today, there is no depth to their belief. Mile wide and an inch deep. I wouldn't do this show if I didn't feel like I had an anchor morally and ethically that I stand by. And this has put me up against a few other folks when it comes to the whole Luigi bullshit. Let me say unequivocally, I am against the death penalty. I will always be against the death penalty. Not because I don't think some fuckers deserve to die, because that's absolutely a feeling I have, but because it can be misused and innocent people can die. There is no way you can have the death penalty and not put people to death that don't deserve it. At some point, you're going to kill an innocent person. And that possibility alone is the reason to not have it. I don't care about the people who did the bad thing in the same way that we're talking about Garcia. Him going through the process isn't about him. It's about due process and the value of it, the meaning of it. Okay? And so all the pro-Luigi folks, I'm not with you because I do not believe in the death penalty. And I certainly don't believe in the death penalty without a trial. Not for anyone. And I'm never going to be. Period. And you can't tap dance around. Maybe some people are no. No. Because, well, I don't know because I am against the death penalty. And I am absolutely against the death penalty without a trial. That's why. And you know what? That's enough. I don't need another reason. I don't need to fucking explain myself. That's the reason. That's all of it. And anybody who champions him for what he did, I don't know how you criticize Israel for their response to feeling like they were attacked and therefore they had to whatever, right? Once that ball starts rolling, you're going to start picking and choosing who gets to choose who gets to die without a trial? Does it matter? Handgun on Fifth Avenue, a bomb falling from the sky, it's a fucking difference morally if you don't care. If one person can do it, a group of people can do it. If a group of people can do it, then what? Then it can always be done. So no. Not ever. So, I won't be on board with any of that shit. I will consider that support for the death penalty and tacit assassination if you are for it. And that's a moral decision you have to make. And you have to ask yourself, what makes you better than people who sat in the stands when they fed Christians to lions or had people fight to the death in a coliseum? What's the difference? You're just watching. You're morally supportive of it. You think it should happen. What's the difference? You think the Christians had it coming? I bet a bunch of them did. I bet a bunch of them did. Wouldn't you think? Easy, John. So, and on the other side of this, the same thing I deal with all the Trump supporters, of which I'm sure there are a couple in the chat at any given time defending their criticisms of Biden and Harris and all that kind of stuff under the veil of not pure enough, when in reality they're just flat out Trump voters. I know they exist. The chances of them statistically, a couple of them being in here occasionally, is 100%. So, I will say to them what I've said before. I don't like his policies, but that can be handled in the political arena. I don't like the fact that he talks like a plate of beans negotiating its way out of a cow's ass. But that's not enough to where it would make me wake up every day kind of lamenting his existence. He was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 25 years. Until the man died. And his only real friend that we know of before that was Roy Cohn, a man who said, when they asked him, Roy Cohn, who died of AIDS, what will you think when people say that Roy Cohn was a gay man who died of AIDS? And Roy Cohn said, Roy Cohn's not a gay man. Roy Cohn is a straight man who fucks boys. That was Donald Trump's buddy, his mentor. The man he looked to for moral guidance. That's enough. I'll argue policy with everybody else. I'll order border shit with fucking Ted Cruz and any of these other dipshits. It isn't my problem that you guys can't find somebody who isn't an adjudicated rapist. That's not my problem. I don't have to like that or get past that to argue policy with you. That's on you. Fix your shit. Find somebody that believes all of Trump's nutty bullshit and can talk his dipshit followers into doing it that isn't an adjudicated rapist if you can. Roy said he had liver cancer. Right. I don't need another reason. I don't need another reason to hate Donald Trump as a human being. Dude buried his first wife on a golf course, the mother of his children. Fuck him. Seriously. Go find some Republicans. Go find somebody else who believes the same shit he believes, if you can. Or if you're just hiding behind him and you just know he'll take all the slings and arrows and you're too much of a coward yourself to stand up for those beliefs if you actually have them. Do it. But I don't think you can. Because I don't think that person really exists. And I think you're just cowering in the face of this aging, flatulent, second-generation rich kid. Being against the death penalty, and especially being for due process, is enough of a reason for me to draw the line that Luigi needs to go to jail forever. I don't need anything else. I don't need any other reason to hate Donald Trump than he's an adjudicated rapist who was friends with a pedophile for a quarter century, and his only other friend was an avowed pedophile himself. I don't need one. I got plenty, as you've seen on the show, but I don't need one. And the people that we're dealing with on the right now are so brutally awful, are so terrible, that the idea that you would go after any Democrats right now says to me you're either painfully misguided, and hopefully this conversation helped you reset your weather vane, or you're actually for what Trump says he's for. You just do it in secret. Right? Yeah. Apparently I needed to get that off my chest. What set me off was the David Hogg thing, where the guy that they're going after, the first guy that they were going to primary, the first fucking guy, the number one target right out of the gate was an East Indian representative from Michigan, a non-white member of Congress from a racially diverse area in Michigan, who just put in 7 articles of impeachment against Donald Trump. That was their first choice. That's what set me off. And that was enough. All right, I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna go breathe deep for a little while, and remind you guys. I'll see you guys in the morning with our dear friend Philip Bittner, who's in Ukraine and under fire. And we'll talk about the stuff that matters again tomorrow, just like we do every day. But I'm not going to lose my sense of humor or my sense of self. And the Major will be joining us. Excellent. But I'm not playing. I'm not tap dancing around any of this shit. And again, it's all me. This is who I am. This is my face. These are my words. This is on the internet. Internet's forever. Fearlessly telling you what I think. Because, as I always say, my motto, care enough not to give a shit. I will see you guys tomorrow. think I should at least get points for the fact that we didn't have to watch Trump tonight.